We are now into game week for the state of Tennessee with high school football kicking off this Friday. And looking to be a contender this season are the Cherokee Chiefs. A locker room that's filled with players that are bringing physicality and grit to the field every day. This group has created a strong culture and is ready to get things rolling. Losing some key pieces from last year's team, familiar faces have stepped up, with Coach Hensley saying this team is player-led and they love being Cherokee Chiefs. With an experienced quarterback leading the offense, the Chiefs are looking forward to showing the development made over the offseason while making sure to go 1-0 in everything they do.
Right now we have a team goal. We want to be 1-0 in everything that we do. So that's everything, every day. We want to try to win every day. And if we can do that consistently on a daily basis, I feel like we're going to be really excited about where that ends us or puts us at the end of the season.
The PPA Tour's Bristol Open crowned its champs today. Playing around the rain, it was Kwang Duong and Christian Alshon taking the day's first win to secure the men's doubles championship. Moving to the women's side, it was Catherine Parento and Anna Lee Waters going 3 for 3 to take the title. Ben Johns is heading home with 2 titles after securing the men's singles alone. He then turned to partner Anna Lee Waters to get the win in mixed doubles. And last but not least, it was Brooke Buckner coming back from 1 set behind to take the women's singles championship. No NASCAR today, with the weather up in Michigan not playing nice. After a 2-hour delay to the start of the race, the rain would not stay away, with the red flag coming out at the end of lap 52. Through one stage, it was Ryan Blaney who picked up the Stage 1 win, but it will be Chase Elliott leading the way on Monday as the Firekeepers Casino 400 resumes tomorrow at 11 a.m. That's it, sports. We'll be right back after this.
When the classic flavors of bacon, lettuce, and tomato meet the classic goodness of Hardee's Frisco lineup, you get instant summer favorites. Introducing Hardee's Frisco BLT Angus Burger and Frisco BLT Hand-Breaded Chicken Sandwich.
Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology lets you see over, under, through. Up to 8 available cameras and 14 views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Don't miss a thing. Chevy's got you. Get $5,750 total cash allowance on this 2024 Silverado LT. That's 10% below MSRP. See your Mountain Empire Chevy dealers.
Here's why you should switch from Google to DuckDuckGo on all your devices. DuckDuckGo comes with a built-in search engine like Google, but it's private and doesn't spy on your searches. And DuckDuckGo lets you browse like Chrome, but it blocks cookies and creepy ads that follow you around from Google and other companies. And there's no catch. It's free. We make money from ads, but they don't follow you around. Join the millions of people taking back their privacy by downloading DuckDuckGo on all your devices today.
It's Toyota's National Sales Event. Swipe into end of summer fun with an exciting new Toyota. Whether you're paddleboarding in a RAV4, mountain biking in a Tacoma, or tubing with your best friends in a Camry, you'll find plenty to post about all summer long.
Lease a dynamic new 24 Tacoma for $349 a month. Get a new 24 Tundra with 1.99 APR financing or $2,000 customer cash with 2 years no cost maintenance.
Come in today. Ooh, like
Toyota. Let's go places.
The MLB Speedway Classic is coming to Bristol Motor Speedway in 2025. And you can be first in line to access tickets to the historic game between the Braves and Reds. Purchase tickets for the Bass Pro Shops night race on Saturday, September 21st. And you'll be part of the exclusive pre-sale for baseball at Bristol, starting Monday, September 16th. Grab night race tickets today and lock in your spot for baseball at Bristol, baby.
The greatest meal deal for your buck? Hardee's Original Bag. Just $5.99. Loaded with your choice of 2 full-size favorites, plus fries and a drink. All for just $5.99. Hardee's. Goodness in the making.
see a little bit of fall that's going to be in the air, my friends. Look at it by Wednesday morning. Well, until then, we are going to be dealing with a few scattered shower chances, mainly in the morning in the Tri-Cities and the afternoon and around noon. Otherwise, by the evening, looks like we'll see sunshine. We'll just call it partly to mostly cloudy in between spells, but still kind of warm and muggy. Highs will be in the upper 70s for your Monday. Tuesday features partly cloudy skies, only that slight chance of rain, mainly northern areas, including Buchanan County. Otherwise, we stay dry, looking at nice conditions. But look at those chilly overnight lows I just mentioned. I mean, we're going to be talking about temperatures in record territory, and it looks like we'll be close to 50 degrees by Wednesday night, and, well, also Thursday as well. Highs will generally be in the 70s and 80s.
So great weather for the fair this week.
Looking very good for the fair.
Awesome.
Decent.
Thanks so much for joining us tonight. We'll see you back next time.
Are you shopping for a new roof and tired of no-shows? Or worse yet, this guy shows up. Speedy Pro Roofing is your 5-star roofing professional. Our roofing advisors and field managers all arrive in uniform and on time. We partner with Atlas Shingles to bring you the only 15-year workmanship and 50-year full replacement guarantees available. And we even offer great financing. Speedy Pro is your most trusted roofing installer.
If you have to ask why it's important to start your day early, here's your answer.
Buy a sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles and get another breakfast fave for only $1.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
It's a big weight off your shoulders to not have to worry about going to 4 or 5 different places to get all your dental work. Dr. McConnell's office does everything.
The clear choice, the Center for Family and Implant Dentistry. PlantingSmiles.dental.
Our trust in government is the lowest it's been in decades. Many say the government is ruling us instead of working for the American people.
We also know that Washington, D.C. will never fix itself.
But what if the framers of the Constitution foresaw a potential need to restrain the power of the very government they created?
Article 5 Convention of the States is a safe route to stopping federal overreach.
Very simply, what does Article 5 say?
Well, Article 5 gives the states the power to call a convention to propose amendments. Same thing as Congress.
This week, a look at an important movement aiming to return more power to the people.
There's been huge hype to sell electric vehicles to the American public.
So electrification is a governmental and environmental driven agenda. It's not a consumer initiative. There's not a lot of people out there saying, where's my EV?
This week, a look at an EV bust and the frustration of electrification.
And cancer is rising at an alarming rate. There are questions about the cause and potential connections.
And what we're seeing with the pandemic is cancer changing. There was cancer pre-pandemic, and there's cancer post-pandemic. They are not the same thing.
Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Cheryl Atkinson. Disillusion with the federal government is nothing new, but in some corners it seems to have reached a crescendo. The disastrous COVID response, a debt that seems irretrievably high, government censorship, a dual system of justice, drugs, crime, illegal immigration out of control, just some of the persistent complaints. All of that has breathed life into a political campaign you may start hearing more about. It's a push to invoke a provision under the Constitution to convene a convention of states to rein in big government. Supporters and opponents say it's closer than you may think to actually happening. This is a simulation of what a convention of states might look like, a dry run organized by advocates last year.
We do have the opportunity to unleash economic, environmental, and constitutional renaissance in the United States.
What is the impetus and what is the Convention of States movement?
Well, on a personal level, for me, the impetus was my frustration with not really having accomplished the change that I wanted to see out of the Tea Party movement. All these people.
Mark Meckler was a top organizer in the Tea Party, a popular movement started after controversial government bailouts of banks and insurance and car companies in the economic meltdown of 2008. A wave of Tea Party candidates swept into Washington, D.C. with the mission of reining in big government.
When all these people got elected, the ideas got discussed, then they went to the D.C. swamp and they were just eaten by the swamp. I was there.
Now Meckler heads a logical follow-on, a group called Convention of States Action, which is organizing grassroots campaigns in every state to push back on big government and what they see as systemic waste and corruption.
Even Alexander Hamilton and Abraham Lincoln, who favored national government, emphasized that Article 5 gives states authority over the national government. Article 5 Convention of the States is a safe route to stopping federal overreach.
Very simply, what does Article 5 say?
So the second clause of Article 5 gives the states the power to call a convention to propose amendments. Same thing as Congress. When 2/3 of the states want to gather in convention, they do. They propose an amendment or amendments, and those go out to the states for ratification. We've never done that in the entire history of the country.
To date, 19 states have passed Convention of States resolutions, starting with Georgia, Alaska, and Florida in 2014, and more recently, Nebraska, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Wisconsin in 2022, following several years of lobbying.
Our founders recognized when they were drafting the Constitution, Congress cannot be the only body that's allowed to propose amendments. If so, we're never going to get amendments that are going to restrain the power of the government.
This rally was last month in Pennsylvania, one of 20 states considering Convention of States resolutions this year. To call a convention, at least 2/3 of the states, or 34, must agree. Activists are pressing in all 50 states to try to get the required support.
We're at 19 states, so past halfway, we have 15 states to go.
That's just the beginning. At the convention, agreement from a majority, 26 states, would be required to propose any constitutional amendments. And 3/4, or 38 states, would have to approve or ratify any amendment for it to be added to the U.S. Constitution.
We all know that our government is way off track. The debt is astronomical and is going to cripple not only our own freedom and our own economy, but our children and our grandchildren are going to be effectively slaves paying for all the things that we're spending money on today. We also know that Washington, D.C. will never fix itself.
What is the working agreement that the states that have gotten on board so far are working under?
The 3 subject matter areas being worked right now is term limits. Most Americans love the idea of term limits for Congress, but also term limits for staffers and bureaucrats. Second is anything that would impose fiscal restraints on the federal government. And then last, and I think most important, is anything that would limit the scope, the power, or the jurisdiction of the federal amendment. What I mean by that is the original Constitution had 17 enumerated powers. The federal government does pretty much everything nowadays way outside that scope, and we need to rein that in and tell the federal government that there are areas they're not allowed to be involved in.
Support for a convention of states tends to be associated with Republicans, but like the Tea Party, its tenets have broader support among a frustrated electorate.
We have one of our lead sponsors in Pennsylvania is a Democrat. I think we now have 6 or 7 lead sponsors in Illinois are Democrats. And the reason is the things that we're asking for are not partisan. And we're saying balance your budget. About 85% of Americans think that. We're saying that the federal government does too much. Whatever we think that they do too much of, almost everybody agrees they do too much. People believe in term limits, like everybody's frustrated with Congress. So it's really not a partisan thing.
It turns out opposition, too, crosses party lines. The left is calling a convention of states movement radical, extreme, undemocratic, far-right, and dangerous.
We are talking about an incredibly radical vision of America. But this time it would be made permanent by a nuclear option that exists in the Constitution's Article 5.
Liberal activist group Common Cause says wealthy donors, corporations, and radical far-right actors are pushing calls for an Article 5 convention to reshape our Constitution for their own benefit.
Have you ever posted anything on social media?
But a major opponent doesn't come from the far left. It's the John Birch Society, which advocates for less government, more responsibility.
They assure us our right to bear arms is not at risk.
The John Birch Society argues that a convention of states is a way tricksters are plotting to limit the Second Amendment right to bear arms.
For example, they wish to clarify that the right to bear arms only applies to military and police forces, which would effectively repeal the Second Amendment. Why would they be holding study groups addressing the Second Amendment when this is outside the scope of their convention?
This year, North Carolina could become the next of 34 states required to hold a convention of states.
We passed the House last year, so it's just the Senate this year. I think we're going to get that done. I think that'll be the 20th state.
But assuming supporters can eventually clear the many hurdles, if the idea is to rein in a federal government out of control, who says that government would obey new limits set by the people? It seems to me if the enforcers are the offenders, they're free to do as they wish. Let's say there is a constitutional amendment that requires some kind of balanced budget or a big change in how business is done in Washington, and they just don't do it. What happens?
Yeah, I think that's probably the best question there is. The reality is the single most politically muscular act in our entire system of governance is the passing and ratifying of an amendment. Because it takes 38 states to ratify, it means the vast majority of the country are on board with it. Also, politicians do what they're incentivized to do. One of the reasons they don't make tough decisions like cutting spending right now is because the incentives are broken. They won't get reelected if they do that. If they have a constitution forcing them to do that, it's a different incentive system.
And lastly, do you think as of today this is a long shot?
I don't think it's a long shot. I really don't. The question is, do we get it done soon enough? That's really my big question, not whether it happens. Do we get it done before the country comes apart?
When the federal government overstepped its boundaries, we could recalibrate the rules to take power away from Washington, D.C. and give it back to the people and to the states.
Meckler's Group says 66% of voters support the idea of imposing fiscal restraint on the federal government and limiting its power. That includes 75% of Republicans, 55% of Democrats, and 62% of others. When we return, electric cars losing energy?
Hi, I'm Brad Austin, attorney at Wolf Williams in Austin. You know, Joe Wolf's been representing coal miners and disabled folks for over 45 years. Our team of attorneys have over 200 years of combined legal experience. Navigating federal black lung, Social Security, or workers' compensation can be a long and difficult process. Let us help. I come from a family of coal miners, so I've seen firsthand what it's like to watch a loved one suffer from black lung disease or a work-related injury. Call us today for a free consultation.
Hello, I'm Dr. Todd Cooper. If you are having problems with your digestive system, top to bottom, and would like a drug-free approach, then contact our office. A healthy gut can improve your entire quality of life. So please call and let us help you take back your health.
Trinity Granite and Marble. Years of experience and thousands of countertops installed, turning ordinary into extraordinary. Go to trinitygranite.com or come see us just off Interstate 26 on Kimberly Court in Johnson City.
There's a lot to the bath fitter difference.
Our one-piece wall is the leader in the bathroom remodeling industry. No seams in our walls means no costly leaks in your bathroom. We are so confident in our one-piece wall system, we give you a lifetime warranty on every job.
And by the way, it's so easy to clean. Why would you want it any other way?
Right now, for a special limited time offer, you get 0% interest financing for 18 months. Call Bath Fitter today for your free in-home estimate.
For a decade and a half, the U.S. government has pushed electric vehicles on the American public using a combination of laws, financial incentives, and guilt as motivators. Lisa Fletcher looks into why the result isn't turning out to be as many hoped.
When the world's most famous electric car company announced its aggressively priced Model 3 sedan, it seemed the future for EVs was assured.
In terms of price, well, of course, it'll be $35,000.
Tesla's innovation had helped dramatically grow the electric vehicle market. And in 2021, Tesla inked a single deal for 100,000 cars.
Those purchases, total value of about $4.2 billion.
We'll come back to that deal with Hertz, but this isn't a story about Tesla. It's a story about consumers and a decade-long government effort to change car buying behavior. an effort that President Obama kicked into high gear in 2011.
With more research and incentives, we can break our dependence on oil with biofuels and become the first country to have 1 million electric vehicles on the road by 2015.
His administration gave billions in taxpayer-funded loans to build new car and battery factories and raised fuel efficiency standards to incentivize electric over gasoline. Congress approved tax credits for consumers buying an EV. But by 2016, just 500,000 electric vehicles had been sold, missing the 1 million mark goal, which didn't happen until 2018. Fast forward a few years, and President Biden picked up where Obama left off. Happy to be seen behind the wheel when Ford debuted an electric version of the nation's favorite half-ton truck.
Mr. President!
This sucker's quick.
In 2023, more than a record 1 million EVs were sold in the United States. But by the end of the year, it was clear things were changing for the worse.
Today, Ford announced it's delaying the rollout of its new all-electric pickup truck until 2026.
With major manufacturers cutting production and EV leader Tesla reporting sales down 8.5% in the first 3 months of this year.
So electrification is a governmental and environmental driven agenda. It's not a consumer initiative. There's not a lot of people out there saying, where's my EV?
Joe McCabe is the founder and CEO of Auto Forecast Solutions. His business is to predict the auto business trends, and he believes he knows exactly why the EV revolution seems to have run out of charge.
When EVs started to trend, a lot of manufacturers very boldly jumped on the bandwagon.
Yeah, we never drank the Kool-Aid, honestly. There's not a consumer out there ready to buy into a government-mandated issue here. Not when the price of electric vehicles are $12,000, $15,000 more than sort of its comparable ICE vehicle, internal combustion engine, or even its hybrid.
And beyond the higher cost of buying an EV, McCabe says there's the hurdle and hassle of charging, often a frustrating and slow process, while repair costs are also higher.
Charge it should take 45 minutes. It's taking 2 hours.
And extreme cold can bring special challenges to electric vehicles.
You talk about it being an agenda and the government pushing this on people, but nobody was twisting anybody's arms. And there were a lot of government subsidies that help people get into these vehicles.
There are those that buy an EV because it serves a environmental purpose. That's fantastic. That is usually the leaf or bolt buyer. There's the other people that, the other 98% of the world that say, I have to drive every day. I need to get to a place. I need a gas station. I can't be down, have time. I have other options out there. Now, electrification will eventually gain